So when I say that it's $9 billion a year, it's just revenue from all Division 1 sports, and that's just NCAA. NCAA has Division 2, Division 3, and that's not even going into another different associations like the NAIA, which is more of a private school, and those are a little bit more religion-based schools. There's also the 2-year junior colleges, which is the NJCAA. And that's about 9.15 billion a year for just NCAA Division 1 schools, and that's just between 260 colleges that compete. They have 24 different sports, men's and women, and not every school has every sport. So that's just on average on the schools that do have certain sports, and then there's a lot of money going into it, which I believe that the students should be receiving more money because of it. So Casey, why do you think that student athletes should get paid?
I think student athletes should be getting paid because we spend about 43 hours a week out on this field between games and practices. We don't have time for a part-time job, and so that means we're up late studying, doing homework. We're also supporting all of Adidas between our jerseys, warm-ups, and stuff. Um,
So Mauricio Chua, why do you think that student athletes should be paid?
We should get paid because we put in a lot of work on and off the pitch, and we sacrificed a lot more than usually the students who don't play sports. And coming back sometimes like at 3 a.m. and then going to school in like 4 hours is a lot to handle. So I think that's why we should get paid.
So Gio, tell me why you think that student athletes should get paid.
Well, I think the student athletes, especially in college, NCAA, the schools make profit greatly off of them, off of the talent of the athlete, the hard work that the athletes have put up since they were young up to even when they're in school. And not everybody gets full rides, so a lot of the players, they have to actually pay to go to school, regardless if they get, like, they only pay half because of a scholarship or something, but they still have to pay, and the school's profiting off of them. So it doesn't make sense that you profit off somebody and they're paying.
So what are some sacrifices that sports have made you do?
Some sacrifices that I have gone through is hanging out with my friends, family events. For example, I missed my brother's college graduation, and probably the biggest sacrifice I have made was having to cancel a week-long trip in Hawaii over my birthday for a soccer game.
So what are some of the sacrifices that you've had to make because of sports?
A lot of sacrifices I had to make was not going on a lot of family trips. Our family trips are usually going to tournaments, going to games. That's where all the money was going towards. A lot of birthdays, family birthdays I couldn't go to. Other sacrifices, you couldn't get like much personal things of your own that you could have asked for because most of the money and time spent was my parents spending money for soccer. And yeah.
So Gio, what are some sacrifices that you've had to make because of sports?
Oh, well, I've had to sacrifice a lot since I was a kid, even up to till now. As a kid, playing competitive and everything. A lot of my friends, they had birthday parties on the weekends. I couldn't go. I had tournaments, games, and everything. Had to prioritize. And even now, here I am playing college ball, and I had to stay here for training and miss my sister's graduation and my best friend's graduation tonight, and I'm missing it. So you sacrifice a lot, but you hope it all pays out in the end, and you work hard to make sure that it does pay off.
So by not paying the student athletes they also violate a lot of labor laws. Ross Simpson, in one of his articles, journal articles, he stated on page 1118 that in August 2014, a California federal district court upended this long-standing policy in Obarman. The court found that the NCAA's rules prohibiting student athletes from receiving a share of revenue earned through use of their name, images, and likeliness violated federal antitrust law, which to me is completely wrong because let's say if it was another way around where maybe the government wasn't getting the money and they're taking away, they would completely switch it around. So that's where you start to look into labor laws. And also Richard Vanderford, on one of his journals, he stated on page 806 that this is not the first time others have taken advantage of those who present entertainment on the field, court, or rink. It is definitely not the first time an employer has tried to keep employee compensation as low as possible. And that's basically, again, violating another law, which I think it's completely wrong by not paying the student athletes because it is breaking the law. So it's, if the student athlete on a natural week, they average out about 43 hours of work a week, that's working 3 extra hours of a full-time job. And if you really put deep thought into it and think about it, that's a lot of work, and that really doesn't leave you any time to have a part-time job, yeah, even a full-time job. So it's really difficult for the students to survive, especially myself being a student athlete. I know how, especially when the gas prices goes up, or it's difficult to even, because sometimes you have to decide, oh, am I gonna get lunch or am I gonna skip lunch today, or maybe dinner, just so that I do have enough money to get to wherever I need to go, because we're not allowed to work or make any extra money because it violates a lot of rules on scholarship wise, especially in NCAA. I know in NAIA and in NJCAA it's a little bit more lenient, but they still have some strict laws on getting paid, and I think that's very wrong because you violate a lot of laws and labor laws. As I've stated, it breaks labor laws to not pay the student athletes because they use their name and their name to make revenue, make money off of their talents and their hard work. And right now, the FBI is in a deep investigation on Coach Sean Miller of the Arizona University Wildcats basketball men's coach. They're in an investigation with him um, about paying students. They say that he's paying student athletes. I just see it as there's some student athletes that can't afford food. They can't afford gas to even put into their cars, and some, well, can't even afford cars at all. But I see it as some student athletes are they come from the poorest places all around the country. And thanks to the sports and their hard work and dedication, it's what's brought them to an opportunity of being able to get to university and have a chance at a better life and prosper with a degree. And if it wasn't because of their hard work and their sports, they wouldn't even be in this situation, first of all, and they would have probably been working for minimum wage. So I'm just saying that why is the FBI defending the violated laws instead of helping them? I think it's time for people to stand up and start mentioning it more so that the FBI stops covering for the NCAA and the violated rules and laws that they're having by not paying the student athletes. Just like in many cases, we just need to speak up now for the student athlete rights, knowing that they should get paid. All it takes is one person to speak up, then the rest follows. Um, just ask for you guys to put more thought into it and understand the sacrifices and the hard work that student athletes put into their sport. Uh, and let's give them what they deserve, at least minimum pay where they can get through and at least have enough for food and gas every day.